Hello crafters, in this video I'm going to be sharing with you our new and exciting large tag and ATC and flower die. In this video I'm going to go over how to use the dies, also talk about the coordinating products and show some gorgeous product samples that we'll be creating with. So first, to show you some of the coordinating products, the reason why we created the dies in the first place, as many of you G45ers probably know, we have these beautiful tags that come in the 3 different colors in each of our 4 sizes. And this is our large tag. And then of course, our ATC tag. These tags are great to use for a multitude of different things. So I'm sure you've seen a lot of albums out there, many people just using one tag alone. So what's been happening is people have been covering the tags and wanting this perfect template, and so they've been tracing it, and it's a lot of work. So we decided that we would create these beautiful dies that cut perfectly, this perfect paper to put over the top of the tag. So I'll show you how that's going to work. All right, so let's dive into some die cutting. So today we are going to be working with our latest release, Floral Shop, one of my personal favorites. So as you can see, it's beautiful and it works perfectly with the flowers, of course. So first we're going to cut out the large tag die. And we are using the Spellbinders Grand Caliber, but of course you can use any die cutting machine with our dies. So pull out your die machine and use that. And I'm going to rotate my plate because it's getting a little bit warped. And so it's kind of nice to, when you are using those used plates, those older plates, to rotate them fairly regularly so they don't bow too much to one end. So with the large tag die, instinctually you'd want to think that you'd put it on here straight. However, when you're putting these through, these actually go through the die cutting machines better if you put them on an angle. So we're going to do that, and then I'm going to put my top plate on there. And I'm going to send this through. And with the large tag die, I recommend cutting that alone and not actually using any of your other dies, just so that you can get a nice solid cut. The one thing that's great about it though is if you are cutting multiple papers, you can do up to 3 sheets per die. And so you just have to run that through the one time, like so. And then pull this over, and you can see the voila, that just cut out like so. And I'm going to pull out one of these large craft tags to show you how that just fits on there perfectly. Set those over there. All right. And that is our first die. And you can see it cuts it, and it has this beautiful 1/8 of an inch edge around the whole tag. So it just has that nice finishing touch, and just look how easy that was. And like I just mentioned, you can do it with 3 different papers at a time. And so depending on your pattern, you can use both sides of the paper, and it just looks beautiful and gorgeous like that. And what a great base for a card or a gift tag, or attaching these together and making a mini album would be a wonderful idea. So from here, I'm going to now cut some more of the dies with the ATC die. So I'm going to use my base plate and then grab the smaller ATC tag. And these are great because these are the perfect size for the gift tag. And I'm going to use this, actually we'll switch up the paper, use this floral, which is a lot of fun as well. And I'll just put that down also kind of on an angle with my cutting plate on top. I'll send that through. And like I mentioned, putting these straighter tags on an angle does help, so it can go through the die machine a little bit more smoothly. And just have to run that through the one time. And there we have it, that perfect tag. And with one of my ATC ivory tags, I have my beautiful little decorative paper cut that fits perfectly over that metal grommet. And you can use either side. So if I want the lighter pink, I can do that too. So now let's move on to the flowers. And these flowers are a lot of fun because depending on the collection that you're working with, you can kind of customize and make your own three-dimensional flowers for whatever project you have. And so I'm going to use another one of these gorgeous papers from the Floral Shop collection. And then I'm going to grab a few of these flower dies and some of the greenery, the stems. And with the flowers, you can actually use multiple at the same time. The one trick that I suggest that you do is when you are cutting these, to keep them in place, because we're going to also be doing a little bit of embossing, so we want these not to move around too much. I like to use washi tape or like a Post-it note or something like that that kind of just holds them down into place onto the paper, just because there is a little bit of movement as we're rolling them through the die machine, as you know. And so I'm just putting these down towards the bottom of the paper so I can utilize as much, save as much later for later. And then at first I want to cut these pieces out. So I'm going to put my cutting plate on the top there, and I'm just going to run this through. And since we're only cutting one paper at a time, you only have to run these through the one time on your machine. So they cut really easily. And then we'll take, once we have those little cut flowers, we're gonna take that out, and then we're gonna do some embossing. So what we wanna do is separate the cutting plate, okay, and shoot. So I'm gonna actually flip this over. So I have these embossed items. So I want to emboss this and my flower here. So we're going to turn the flower over so the metal is actually on the base, the top of the base plate, like so. And as you can hear, I'm here in the office. So that's Dustin in the background helping out a lovely G45er. And so now that I have my flowers lined up with my dies, and then I'm gonna grab my shim, my embossing shim, which looks like this. I'm gonna put that down there. And then on top of that, I'm going to put down my embossing plate. And then I'm gonna run that through my grand caliber machine so we can emboss those flowers. And with the shim, because it makes it thicker, it does give it a little bit more resistance to put it through the die cutting machine, but the little extra muscle, it got it through. All right, and now to the embossing. And as you can see, grab my craft pick here, you have this fun embossing on the detail of these flowers, which adds a nice effect to it. Depending on what side I'm going to use, you can see that embossing just kind of helps add some more dimension and texture to these gorgeous flowers. So fun. stem is great too, and very beautiful. All right. So now that we've die cut out some of our flowers, we are going to start playing with them and kind of creating some of these 3D dimensional flowers. So what I'm going to have here is I have one of my styluses, but keep in mind if you don't have something like a stylus for this, a lot of different things like the end of a paintbrush also work just as well. Just kind of have a more of a rounded end, or a pen or something like that. So I kind of like to hollow out this center a little bit to create a little lift, and then I flip it over because I want to have this more colorful side as being the exposed side. And then I'm going to go around on the back, and I'm going to kind of lift up those edges on the petal. So I am putting pressure on the paper in the center of the petals, and not actually going to the edges. And I know there's a lot of flower experts out there that have got this mastered. So I'm just kind of doing a simpler version of that. So now that I've kind of broken up some of those paper fibers, I'm just going to take the end of my paintbrush and kind of roll those edges. Since I have kind of broken those fibers up, this is a lot more easy to manipulate these petals. And so I have my base of my flower, and then I'm going to do the same to these other two layers, and I've actually done it to a few of them already, so just hurry and get in there. And it's fun with this size because it has that beautiful embossing, so you can see the layer, you can see those little holes and the different embossed texture that it adds. So very beautiful. And then I'm going to do this top one, that's the smaller of the three, and then on the reverse side. And the thing that's nice about these flowers is if you don't want to do something as elaborate as what we're doing here, you can do just use these flat as well and like layer them on top of each other. So there's a lot of options just depending on what you have time for and interest in doing. So, and it's just nice because these match perfectly with this collection, of course, since they're out of the paper. I'm going to start gluing these together. I'm going to use some of our liquid adhesive we have here. And you can, of course, use any adhesive of your choice. I just like to use liquid in this kind of situation because it is really quick. And it's more forgiving if I need to kind of adjust something at all. So I'm just going to layer. What's also kind of fun is doing a little bit of, you could do 3D adhesive in here too, to add a little bit even more dimension between the petals. So I've got my flower coming together, and what would a beautiful flower be without a gorgeous shimmery centerpiece, right? So I have these green jewels that I'm going to add to the center, and I'm actually going to do a bigger one than that. Actually, here we go. All right. And they do have adhesive on them, but I want to extra a little bit just in case. So we don't want that beautiful jewel going anywhere. And so as you can see, my flower is coming together, and so I'm going to just go back in here, kind of curl some of those petals. And all right, so now I have my beautiful dimensional flower, and so we're going to adhere that to this cute little ATC tag to create a little gift tag that would be great on a birthday gift or like a spring. Actually, Shari, my sister's birthday, was a few weeks ago, so this would have been perfect for that. Or Mother's Day right around the corner. We'll be here before we know it. This line really lends itself perfectly to those projects for mom or grandma. All right. So I've glued down my perfect little paper there, and I have those stems cut, and I kind of like the blue a little bit different. So we're going to use the blue side of the flower stem, and I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive on here, the sides. All right, and position that right there. And then adhesive on the back side of my flower. And voila, I have my gorgeous little tag that I could add ribbon to the top of this and have that be finished for a perfect little gift tag for a birthday or any of those little holidays or whatnot coming up. And so that was just an example of how to use the ATC tag with the flower dies. Another quick example I am going to show you is a fun make and take that I created for a show we just went to. And so what we've done here is we've taken a number of our different ATC ivory tags and we've covered them with some of our sun-kissed paper. And then we've created this fun little folio, as you can see. And so as you can see, we've used these perfectly cut papers to fit on the ATC tag and covered all sides. And so it just creates this fun little folio tag card that is great for which you could do with a lot of our different collections, or you could recreate it also with the sun-kissed line. So that is another way you could utilize these dies in our ATC tags. So again, thank you so much for checking in with Graphic 45, and be sure if you do create something with our products to share it on social media using the hashtag Graphic 45, and hope to see you again here soon. Bye.